Hello, good afternoon to everyone. My name is Mahindo Mbar, and I welcome you to our 12th lecture of learning of creating mobile application while concentrating on practicals. In the previous lecture, we stopped at the level whereby we collected the information from the form, and we tested different types of fields. For example, collecting the date information from the form, the drop downs, the plain text, the phone numbers. We also went ahead and looked at good practices that we may need to implement when creating a mobile application that collect information from users. So today we are going to proceed from where we stopped at in the previous class, and today we are going to look at another topic that everyone will need in their programming experience, and then that is introduction to JSON, and then we'll also proceed to HTTP request, and then if time will allow, we'll proceed to local storage. All those topics that I've talked about, they are very crucial in for a serious programmer, for someone who needs to do mobile applications that will solve problems. So with that simple introduction, let's go straight into our today's business. That is introduction to JSON. So if you search JSON on Google, they'll give you a simple introduction to JSON, or a simple meaning of JSON. As you can see, JSON is an abbreviation that stands for JavaScript Object Notation. It is a lightweight data interchange format. So JSON is nothing but just a format that we use to communicate data from within different application. It is easy to humans that you can write and understand it even without involving a machine. So in layman's language, I would say JSON is just a format that we can use to organize our data so that different platform can understand it. It was invented mainly by JavaScript. So you can ask, why do we need JSON? I'll give you an example to the reason why we may need JSON, and then you'll be able to relate and also know why you need JSON in your programming experience. Let us say that you have a web application, for example, an e-commerce application. It is on internet or on the server, the web. Of course, the information will be on the server. So this application, it is basically the web, but later you need to also integrate it with the mobile application. You want to create for it a mobile application, just like the way almost every web application has a mobile application. So if you want to do that, you know that web is written in different language. For example, it can be in PHP, and it is on internet. But you're also writing a mobile application, and that is Dart, maybe like in Flutter, using that programming language, and it is also a different programming language. The mobile app will be on the mobile phone, while the web will be hosted on the server. But these things need to communicate together. For example, if a user creates an account on a mobile app, that should be the same account that he should find also on web. The products that you'll post on your web application should be the same product that should appear on the mobile application. So, but these are two different platforms. So the question is, how can you make these two platforms communicate with each other, or so that they make them understand with each other? So those guys, they had to invent a format that each language can simply understand, or many languages, or more modern languages can simply understand. in a way that in case you have 3 products on internet, maybe on your web application, you should be able to print or display them in a JSON format. And then your mobile application will pick that JSON format and interpret it. So to whatever language that will depend on that web should be able to do what, to interpret that format of data. So that's why we need what? We need JSON, mainly to communicate between one application and the other, or one platform with the other. So JSON is written in different way, as we understood from this definition. I mean, as we learned from this definition, they say this JSON is a way how we can communicate with different application, but it is simple to the extent that a human being can do what? Can also understand or can also relate how things are looking like. So we're going to go ahead and write some simple JSON of an object, and also proceed to what? To JSON of a list. So a JSON mainly will be organized into this format. So for example, if I search here JSON example, and I'll show here the format. So if you come to pictures, you see, learning these things is just simple. You don't need too much science. Okay, so if you come to pictures, you'll see different pictures from Google search results that show different examples of a JSON file. So for example, I'm going to show you this guy or this file, and I'm going to explain how we can relate to each other. So a JSON format, I mean JSON data format, will be in form of the key and the value. So for example, this is the key, which is longitude, and the value of this one is 47.60, and it is separated with a comma, whereby the key is surrounded with double quotes or single quotes and followed with a colon, and then the value will follow. So integers, they will not be having the quotes, and if it is a string, like you can see here, the description is a string, it will be surrounded with the what? With quotes. But integers will not surrounded with what? With quotes. So an object will begin with a curly bracket. For example, you can see here we have, this is a single what? This is a single object. It will begin with the what? With a curly bracket. And then a list will begin with a square bracket. For example, let us try to understand what this file was being, what this file communicates. So it is an object to understand what is mean, an instance of a certain class. So it is an object, it begins with the what? With the curly bracket, and it ends with curly bracket. And then it has values inside it, whereby we have the properties. It has longitude and the value, and latitude and the value. Then it has forecasts. For example, this was a file of forecast. So forecast, it is a list, or it is a list of many things. Okay, so as we discussed, we said a list will begin with the what? With the square bracket. So you see, it is a square bracket and end with a square bracket. Then inside that square bracket, it has other object. So this is a list of what? Is a list of object. So beginning from here, square bracket, and the square bracket ends here. And then inside this, we have these curly brackets. So curly bracket, these are object. You have an object of date, description, time, and the danger, whether it is danger or not. Okay, so you see, separated with a comma. So this is another object in the what? In the same list. So that is how, or that is all you need to understand how JSON data is organized. You can go ahead and try to look at different pictures from Google search results, and then you'll be able to do what? Maybe to relate how this JSON data is organized. If you search more articles, it is a very popular format that almost every technology is using right now. Though there are other formats such as XML, it is also another format that we can use to transfer data. we have XML, we have CSV, etc. But the most popular now that is being used, it is what? It is JSON. So you see, this is an example of JSON data. We have the name, then we have the value, then we have then inside it we have a what? An object. So let us go ahead and see how we can practice the JSON. And you should know that JSON will always be it will always be what? It will always be a string. Okay, it will always be a string. So without much said, let us go ahead and see how we can make JSON or use in our projects. So I'll open my Android Studio. That is our application. You still remember how we've been following it. So I can scroll up to the last, and I'm going to add here another field that we're going to demonstrate what? The JSON. So let's go ahead and do that. I think I should be adding them on top instead of adding them in bottom. Okay, let me go ahead and do that. So I will come here. Let me increase my font size so you can see things much more better. Appearance, and then come to font size, and make it 28. And make it 36. Want it to be too big? I think that's okay. And then I'll come to maybe the editor, come to font, maybe I can make it 18. Okay, so I hope there you can see my texts. I hope you can see my screen, members. Can you read the words? Huh? Guys, can you read the words in my screen clearly?
Yes, I can.
Okay, that is good. So I'll go ahead and copy this guy and put here. So I'm going to call this guy JSON, and maybe so I'll save. There it goes. So I may change here maybe. Okay, so let me go ahead and create a new file. Let me go ahead and create a new file that I'm going to demonstrate the JSONs. I think I'll get this column guy, copy it, and paste it. Just press F5 to copy and paste. So I'll call this guy JSON screen. Press enter, and then I'll search everything in the column, make it JSON screen. So after doing that, I'll go ahead and save. Then I'll go ahead and add this onto our screen so that when someone clicks there, you should be able to see what? The JSON screen. So I'll come to the main, and then where there is navigate column screen, I'll change this one to JSON screen. Press enter. So I'll save, and then when I click here, it takes me there. Okay, that's beautiful. I'll come and change this title maybe to JSON. So let's begin by seeing how we can convert data to JSON first. How we can convert data to JSON, and then later we will learn how we can convert back data from JSON to normal text. Okay, so I'll go ahead and maybe put this one, maybe it should be start. Okay, so I'm going to be putting the data into console. To console. I'll go ahead and remove this guy, and maybe put here string to JSON. So I'm going to surround this guy with an inkwell. Am I in the right screen? Oh, I'm in the wrong screen. I'm in the wrong screen. This is the wrong screen. Sorry. They never see me coming. So when I ask you to show me that you understood, you should be able to demonstrate these things. So I think this is the right screen. Yeah. What is our main? What the hell was I doing? So when I click there, it should take me to string. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Let me make this one maybe a list view. Let me surround it with a list view. So I'll just simply cut this and put list tile, sorry, list tile, so I can have more things to use. So I'll give here title and put here maybe to string to JSON. So I put on top and I create my function that I'm going to call. Okay, so let me call the function called string to JSON, but I've not created this function. Okay, so let me go ahead and create this function. So I can press Alt and enter and then say create method. So this is the function. Okay, you can either first create it or use that technique. So I'll save and then I can put here print maybe str to JSON, just to test if I reached here successfully. Then I'll expand my run terminal, clear everything. A minute, okay, just a minute. Anji Musa tewali hamwana gwe nina ebizibu naye ndi mukibiina ndi mukusomesa tuli wano jangu otusaleko kale nebyo biri wano. Sorry about that. Okay, so now there we go. Now I will just clear my screen, and then if I click here, you'll see I'm able to get this beautiful thing that shows that I'm here. So now let us see how we can change data to JSON. So to change data to JSON, in Flutter we have two functions, one that converts data to JSON, another one that converts data from JSON. One is called JSON encode. JSON encode will convert data to JSON, and another one is called JSON decode. So JSON decode will convert data from JSON to whatever you want. So we can simply say JSON encode. Is it like this? There's one with small letters, JSON encode, this guy, you see, JSON encode. So it will just take an object of a parameter, or you take an object that you want to encode. Okay, so for example, I can say I love mom like this, and then I put a semicolon. So this is just a string. Okay, let's say maybe let us create here just an empty string called maybe raw string, and we store there this word I love mom. Okay, So this is raw string, just a raw string, plain string. So if let us first display this string before we do what, we convert it. Okay, so I can just simply say print raw string. Okay, or I can just simply put here, maybe I can say maybe a raw string, a string that is not having what, that has not been converted yet, and then we display there. So let us go ahead and display it. So you can see when I click here, you can see I love mom. It is just a plain string. Now let us go ahead and convert this string into JSON. So to convert it to JSON, I'll just simply say JSON encode, and this JSON encode will take one parameter. So JSON encode is the one that will convert data into JSON. Okay, so you should learn that. So it will take one parameter. Now let us receive this one maybe and put here maybe var. So var will be a data type that can receive anything. Okay, so var and maybe processed string, processed string. This is just a naming. So this is a JSON string now, the one that has been processed and converted to JSON. So let us go ahead and also display it. So I just simply say processed string, and then maybe you can say maybe processed string. Okay, so this one, the first one will be raw string, and the second one will be a processed one. So we're going to learn the difference. Okay, so if I clear everything and I click on run, that is the results. Now let us keenly look at both of these two results. So the first one is I love mom. You can see it is a raw string. Okay, the one which is not in JSON. So but the second one, you can see it is also I love mom. But if you're very keen enough, you can learn that the second one is surrounded with what? With quotes. So that is the JSON file. I mean a JSON string. So a plain string of JSON, it will be surrounded with what? With quotes. So you should always know that data or a string that is in JSON will be surrounded in quotes. Okay, but an integer it will not be surrounded in quotes. So that is one way that demonstrates that we have successfully converted a plain string to a JSON string. So that's it. Now let us proceed, and we have learned that there's two methods: one that converts to string, I mean to JSON, and the other one that will get the data back from what? From JSON. So let us go ahead and see now how we can convert an object. Okay, how we can convert an object to string. Okay, so to do that, I think I should make these values public, so that we can be able to access them into other functions. So I can cut them here and put them also this function. So maybe we can be able to do what? To access them into other functions. So it is just the same thing, okay, but we can access them into other functions. So now let us go ahead and see how we can convert an object to a string. Okay, so I'll duplicate this guy, okay, and then maybe say object to JSON. Okay, so I'm going to create also here my temporary method that I'm going to call object to JSON. Okay, so let me go ahead and create that method. So I'll press Alt and Enter, and then say create method. So it is there. So I'm going to create here our temporary class that I'm going to use just to demonstrate. Okay, so I'm going to create a class called person. Okay, person. So you should know that you can also create a class, two classes in the same file. Okay, so that's our simple class called person. Why is it crying? Press Alt and Enter. Create class. Cut this guy. Person. Okay, so it is supposed to be a small letter. So that's our simple class called person. So this person will have a string. Inside it will be name. So by default, since we don't have too much time to demonstrate, let me just initialize in the same class. Okay, string, and then say name. By default, the name is called Joan Doe. Okay, and then maybe give her age. I mean, maybe say country. I mean, again, string, country equals to Kenya, and then we give her age. Say age age is an integer, equals to 31. So that is our simple class. Okay, that is our simple class. So let us create our simple object in this class. Our simple object in this class. For this class. So I'll come here again to public and create for it a simple object. So create an object. Of course, we just simply say a class name, and then maybe can say Joan, or maybe say my person equals to new class. So that is our simple class. So we have this one as an object. Okay, so let's go ahead. So this is our class. This is an object of this class. Now let us go ahead and demonstrate how we can convert a class into, an object into JSON. To JSON. So I'll just simply come here and just first test. So I'll just simply put print, and then we say print.name. Okay. So if I save and I click on print, you can see Joan Doe is being displayed. So members, I hope you're following very carefully, and I hope you're understanding. Let me first see if you guys are understanding before I proceed. Members, are you understanding? Oh, I'm just confusing. I don't know. Are you relating, or I'm confusing everything? Can I get feedback, please? You can unmute your microphone and tell. Simon, Desire.
Yes.
Are you relating things? Are you understanding?
Not really. I wish you can elaborate more.
What?
You can elaborate more.
But so far, what I've elaborated, why we need JSON and converting a string to JSON.
Yeah, those ones are okay.
Those are.
Yeah, this object part, and it is confusing.
So, do you know a class?
Yes.
So, is there anything that is confusing here so far in this class of a person? A class will have many properties, and I've just by default have initialized them. And I understood here.
Yeah, that I've understood.
Now here I create an object of that class. Class person, I call it my person equals to new person. Do you understand here?
Yeah, that's okay.
That is okay. And then this is the method that I'm calling here, that we're going to use to demonstrate how to convert an object to person. So here I'm just printing person name of this object. Did you understand? You see, my person.name, and I display it in console. Do you understand there?
Yeah, that's okay.
That is okay. So now what you're going to do right now, I'm going to teach you how you can now convert this whole object to what? To JSON. Are we together now? Are we together now, Simon?
Yes, we are together.
Okay. So you can mute your microphone. So now that is where we are. So and now as we convert the string, now this time I'm going to convert the object into JSON. So let us go ahead and convert the object into JSON and see how it will look like in the console. So I'll just simply say var and say maybe maybe let us use the same processed string, right? This guy, okay? And then just say process string equals to JSON encode, okay? So this time we are not encoding the string, we are encoding the what? This object of this person. So that we should get something like this, okay? Something like this. Remember, an object, it has so many parameters. It has the name, it has the gender, but all of them, they are in the same variable, okay? But the string, what was just a what? String. So we want to have something like this that is formatted in this way, so that we can either send it to somewhere or save it or do what? So that you can be able to communicate, so that you now know why you need JSON. So we want to convert this into JSON so that we can be able to use it as a JSON, okay? But the thing is, a class, it is having so many parameters. You see, this is just one class. I mean, this is just one object, but it has a name, it has a country, it has age. So it starts becoming what? Interesting, okay? So here we are. I am here and I've just called this processed string. This is the one that is storing the JSON file. You know how where we created it. And here I'm calling JSON encode my person or this object. So we want to see, okay? We want to see how things will be like. So I save, and then maybe I print here the processed string, and you see how it will look like, okay? So I save. Let's go ahead and click to object to JSON, okay? When you click there, you see we are getting a what? We are getting an error, okay? We are getting an error. They say that it did not understand what you want to do. When you click there, you see we are getting an error. It does not understand the instance of a person. It understands just basic instance of an integer, of a float, of a string. But right now, a person is an object of a class, okay? Of a class of a person. So it becomes it gets confused. How do you want me to do what? To convert that too much data that I don't know how you define. Okay, so it becomes confused, and then it ends up giving us an error. So now, how can we convert a class into a JSON file, or an object of a class into a JSON file? To do that, we have to add more method into our what? Into our class, okay? So that method is JSON, it's where we are going to define the rules of how our class should be, our class should be converted to JSON. So the method is what the JSON encode will call, and then convert that data to a JSON format. So we'll come to our class. Before, I've been showing you that classes can be created in different files, but as well you can create a class in the same file. So I'll come to our class, and then I'm going to add there a method that will help to tell the JSON encode how we should convert it into a JSON file or a JSON format. To do that, we just simply come here and add one more method called to JSON, okay? Like this. We add inside that class a method called to JSON in that specific spelling or that specific case that I've written. So I'll open bracket and then put here curly bracket, okay? So this to JSON, of course, you can specify here that it will return a string, but no problem, okay? So a JSON will be a string, and now here it is going to define now the rules of how our data should be converted to JSON, okay? So I'll go ahead and start defining the rules. So I just simply return a string and say return, and then I return a string. You know, a JSON will always be a string. So this method is the one that will be called, okay, when we are, I'll return an object like this, curly bracket like this, and then I start returning the properties inside it. Okay, so return a curly bracket, and then you start returning the properties. So you know how JSON will be like. We just simply put the double quotes and define the property. So for example, have a property called name. So what should it return the value? You should return the value of the name. So it means that the JSON encode will automatically call this guy, and then it will start formatting these things as how you define them here. So if you have rules, maybe where there is a name, it should be changed to another thing, or it should be done to another thing. Maybe the naming should be in a different way. This is where you can define that rule. Okay. So I say where there is a name, you should return the name itself. And then now here I put where there is age, you should return the what? The age. Okay, age. And then I go ahead where there is a country, you should also return the country. But here, this is the place where I can now put your what? Your rules. So that is it. So now when the time when we will call the JSON encode on the object of this class, it will automatically invoke this what? This method or this function inside this class. So let's go ahead and see. So as you said, this guy will automatically call this class, or I mean this method in this person class. So let's go ahead and see. So I'll come here, I save, I clean, and then I click object to JSON. Okay, when I click object to JSON, I have to return here. See, it's supposed to be map. Of dynamic, comma, string. Okay, so since it can return anything, so I say dynamic. So let me save, let me click object to string. It's not encoding. Just use dot JSON. Okay, so it will be called dot JSON encode. I don't know. Pass there the method, the class. Save. Click on to JSON instance of a person. Sorry. Yeah, it is being encoded, but the problem I was printing a wrong thing. I had to print this processed string. Yeah, I think okay. Now let's click to JSON. Now you can see. Now I hope you can see that. Okay, let me come again. So I can even remove this. I think. Yeah. You see, this is I just add this to JSON, so it will be invoked. So when I say JSON process string equals JSON encode, and then I pass this class, I mean this object of my person. Okay, so now when you click on to JSON, can you see I'm able to get the what? This JSON. So if you want, and one thing that you should know, this is a what? It is a string. So that's where the whole beauty is. It is a string. So it is in a format that anything can receive. It can be web, you can save it to database. So if you can save any kind of data, all classes in a form of a string, and you're able to retrieve it and convert it back to any class, then it means that you have the best way of how you can communicate between different platforms. So that is how we convert an object to string. Now you see, I can change this method. If I put the wrong method name that is not to JSON, and I try to click, you see, it will bring the same one, the same error. So the whole point is always put to JSON method into your class that you want it to be able to be converted to JSON, and then there you'll be able to you return an object which has the rule that you want. So for example, if I want here maybe to return the name of my best friend, okay, so it will just follow that rule. So you see, instead of returning this, it is returning the name of my friend. Okay, instead of returning the name of this. So in other words, this is just why you define the rules when you're converting that particular class to the JSON. So it is very, very, very important. If you don't understand it, please make sure at least you cram it. Okay, it's very important. So if I copy that, okay, so here you may just see it. It is just a plain string, but you can copy it. Time is up, but I'll add some, I think, more few minutes. Let me add like at least 15 minutes. Okay, 190 minutes. Okay, so I will show you. Come here and search JSON format. Okay, so JSON formatter, you'll find this guy, JSON formatter. It will help you to organize your JSON. Okay, so if I put here, see this is the string that I've just copied in console. So if you want to understand your JSON object properly, you can come and copy, for example, this string that I've copied in console, and you come and paste it here. Okay, then you say format beautify. Okay, so you see they'll format it for you. It is a plain string, just the same data, but here the whole point is that they format it for you. So you'll see everything is beautiful. So you should always know that an object will always start with the what? Will curl brackets. So it is a curl bracket, and then you have the name, and then the value, and then the age and the value, and the country with the what? With the value of a what? Of a country. So it means that you can now use that to communicate to anything. For example, you cannot save an object into database, but you can save a string into database. So it means that you can be able to save even that object of string into what? Into JSON. It is very, 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 very important in your programming experience. So make sure you understand, please. Okay, it's very important, as I've said it. Okay, so that is how we convert objects. So an object and have another object inside it, no problem. You can go ahead and define the rules how it should be, like here. So that is how we convert data to object. I mean, an object to JSON. So in your free time, play with it. You'll be able to understand and relate things. Okay, we proceed. Now let us proceed and we see how we can do what? How we can convert now the data from JSON to an object. We want to see how we can convert the data from JSON. Let us assume that we already have a JSON file or a JSON records from another system, and want to convert those JSON record to an object that we want. That's what we're going to do right now. So we're going to do from JSON to object. From JSON to string is very straightforward and simple, but let's go ahead and do from JSON to object, because as I'm going to give you examples, I'm going to show you different APIs, how they communicate data using what? Using JSON. So you must understand JSON. You want it or not, you must understand it. And they are just simple things, though they may seem to be confusing at this moment, but they're just pretty and beautiful things. Beautiful and pretty and simple, beautiful things. Okay, so let's do from what? From JSON to object. Okay, so let's go ahead and create a method from JSON to object. Okay, so this method is not created yet. I'll simply go ahead and create it. So I'll press Alt and Enter, and then the method will be created here. So let us go ahead and demonstrate how we can convert data that is already in JSON to. So since let me comment this guy. So since we already have elaboration that can convert a certain data to JSON, let us go ahead and just first convert what we have to JSON, and then we get it back to the object. So I'll copy this guy and put it here. What am I doing here? I'm first converting this example to JSON. Okay, so that we should have this we should have this processed string in format of JSON. I can just simply put it here, print. Let me dump it here. So I'm just calling this method so that it should convert now what we have, this object, to what? To JSON. Then after, I'm going to demonstrate how you can now convert from JSON. For example, I'll clean, and then I put here. Now you can see we have this processed string that is already in what? In JSON format. You get it, eh? We have a processed string that is in a what? In JSON format. Now, let us see how we can now convert this processed string to an object, how we can convert it back. Okay, so to do that, I'm going to create the second object. Okay, so I'll just simply come and say person. Okay, that is our class, and then maybe I can say my person2, my person underscore 2 equals, so I'll just simply say JSON decode. You can guess it, JSON decode. JSON encode will convert an object to JSON. A JSON decode will convert JSON string to an object. So JSON decode, I will then pass this string of JSON. I'll pass this string of JSON so that I can start be using it. So I'll pass the string of JSON, this guy. Okay, so now this is my person2. Let us see if we successfully first collect his name. So I can say simply print and then say person2 dot what? Dot name. Can just simply put here, yeah, dot name. So if we successfully decode this data from the JSON string, you see, from this JSON string, we'll be able to get the name of this guy. Okay, we'll be able to get the name of this person. Okay, so I'll save, but don't forget that here I first convert it to what? To strings, that this string should have some data of JSON. So I save, I go ahead and click on from JSON. We get again a what? An error. Okay, we're getting an error. So why are we getting an error? We are getting an error because we have not written a method that handles conversion of raw string to what? To JSON. Okay, so we are going to write now the method that will handle that conversion of the raw string to an object that we want. Okay, so to do that, again we come to our class, so a class of person, and then we write this string very carefully as I'm going to show you. You just simply write from as it is there, and then you say JSON. Okay, JSON. It's a method. Okay, but this method will return an object of a person. Okay, it return an object of a person, so you have to put here person like this. Okay, person like this. So inside here we go ahead and put the logic of creating maybe a temporary person that we're going to return. So I say simply temporary person that you can call p equals new person. Okay, so this method is where we're just trying to put the logic that is going to convert the data to what? To JSON. And then after, we have to return this person. Okay, return the person like this. So when JSON decode will be called, this method will be called. Okay, but the point is this method does not have the conversion of the real conversion of data. So to do that, I can now simply go ahead and say my person p dot name. So this one must take what? A parameter. It should take a parameter of map of string. Of string. Yes, I think string. The parameter will always be string, and then dynamic. Okay, and then you can call this map maybe a name, maybe my map, something like this. Okay, so now a person will be equals, name will be inside map, and then this map you can access the name from here like this. Okay, so this is where you can check the condition just in case this guy is null, what should be here. So it will take, we'll go ahead and collect the name, you collect the age, and then we also collect maybe the what? the country. Okay, so that is how we can handle the conversion from JSON to an object. So I save. Now let me go ahead and click on from JSON to object. What are they saying? String no, is not subtype of person. Wait. Let me see. From JSON, they're saying it's supposed to take. Let me just take dynamic and see. Okay. JSON decode. We can just simply say person. We can just simply put, I think, here as person. Just simply put here. That is from JSON. Let me make this static. Anji? Nchi? Biri wansi gendo pikingeko kinene kyesinga binene. Alikisanga wano? Kale kiteeke wano nja kiwa Jessica jakiteeke. Kuba kiwe Jessica. Kiwe Jessica nze sibeerabeera. Ndi mu kibiina. Okay. So someone is calling me here. So from JSON, I will come and put this here. A better way we can do it. So from JSON, it will take a string. It's supposed to be a string. Going to become messy. String, and then we put here map equals to JSON decode, then we pass this. So this is where we're going to put a list. A map of I think you're seeing stars now. Map of string and then comma dynamic. Okay, so JSON decode. Okay, then put here okay, so this will convert to map and then this will be able to return it. So I'll just call it from here, from JSON, and I pass this guy. Hope everything is now right. Then you can see we're able to retrieve data from what? From JSON back to what? To a person. So let me go ahead and show you here that even if we change the name, for example, let's say this is my person and I change it. The name I maybe make it Mohinto Mubarak. Okay, so I put a semicolon. So we want to see if even the names can be changed. Just to prove that when you call this guy, this is it is converted to JSON, and then we have a different name that is not the default. So let's go ahead and click on from JSON. You can see we're able to see it. Let me just repeat it very slowly, and we finish this session. This is just from JSON. It is a class, a method that is static that we have put inside here, and it will return a person parameter, and then it will just simply convert the plain string to JSON format into the map, and then the map will collect the name and the rest, and then return the person. So when you call an object of a person from JSON, it will go ahead and do what and convert it in that way. Only that I want to try using this JSON decode here without going that far. JSON decode, and then I remove this static here, and see if we'll achieve the same thing. So when I click from JSON, no, it will not work. It has to be static, but I'll find a better way how I can do that. So that makes our first session. Mainly, you have seen how we can now convert the data to JSON and also from JSON. I'll share with you this source code so that you can be able to understand what I'm talking about when you look at my code. Okay, but the whole point is you can pause the video and look at it very carefully so that you understand how you can convert the objects either to JSON or from JSON. It is very, very, very important. Okay, so put your IDs into the chat. I collect your first attendance, as I said, and then we'll go for a short break of 5 minutes, meaning we'll have to come back at exactly 32 past 3. 32 past 3. Okay, so put your IDs. Put your ID into the chat, your registration numbers. Okay, put your registration number into the chat. Otherwise, if you don't do that, maybe I'll not count you as you attended this first session. And then we'll come back before 3:45. We come back before 3:45. 3:45 will be starting the second session. Okay, so put your ID into the chat. You can as well attach your name, it's also okay. And then after a break, you come back and resume from this point. Put your ID, your registration numbers into the chat, and then you go for a short break. At 45, 15 minutes to 4, we'll be starting the second session.